Hey everyone. So in a previous video, I showed how to create an Azure ML workspace. So with the workspace now created, we can start working with datasets. The Azure ML service gives a nice set of APIs to help get, manage, and clean datasets. So in this video, I'll show how you can do that with a Titanic dataset. So if you haven't seen this dataset before, it's just has some data on the different passengers that were on the Titanic, and it has whether they survived or not. And it has such features such as whether they're male or female, their age, if they had any siblings on the boat with them. Alright, so first to get started, we need to make sure we pip install the Azure ML SDK, and we can do the notebooks extra here. Once that is installed, we can import Azure ML.core, import the workspace, and then Datasets. And then since we're going to be doing some data manipulation here, we're going to do import Azure ML.dataprep, and we're going to name it dprep. And we need some information such as our subscription ID. So I'm going to import JSON, and then I'm going to load that JSON config, which has my subscription ID there. All right, now I'm going to get my workspace, and this is going to be the same workspace that we created in the previous video. So I do workspace.get, and I give it the name of the workspace that I want to get, and I name that, and I can give it the subscription ID from the config. So now that we have a reference to our workspace, let's load in our dataset here. Call it Titanic dataset, and we do dataset dot auto read files. And what we do here is we just put in the name of the file that we wanted to read. And as you can imagine from the name, it auto reads it, so it automatically determines what the delimiter and all that for us. So that read in, and we can do you can do in pandas, such as calling the head method. And we're going to give it the number of items to return as 5. So we see that it read in our file just fine, and we got the columns that look okay. Just a couple of things that we can do with the Dataset API here. We can get a random sample of our dataset by calling the sample method, and we need to give it what type of sample that we want, which is our simple random. So it just gets a random sample, and we give it kind of a config dictionary here, and we tell it the probability that we want it to do is, we'll do like 30%. And to get the table to show here is we use another method here that we get from the API, just called toPandas data frame. And then I can call head on that, just like regular pandas dataset. Instead of rows here than we did when reading straight from the file. Another thing you might want to do when looking at a data set is kind of get the descriptive statistics from it. And if you're working from pandas, use the describe method. But in Azure ML, we use the get profile. You can probably tell if you're used to using pandas, this is a lot more information than the pandas describe method. So like usual, you get the min, max, the count, the mean, standard deviation, and all that. Another thing you can get here is this missing count. And if we go down here, we can see that the age has 177 items missing. So that's something we have to work with here and that we can fix. So before we start cleaning our data, we need to get a definition. And so what we do is call the get definition method. Help manage our data set and get different versions of it. And with that, we can actually keep certain columns that we want. If it's easier to drop columns instead of keeping them, there's also a drop columns method that you can use. But I'll use keep columns. And this will take in a list of column names. And we can verify that by calling a head on it. Next thing I want to do is this sex column. I want to change that from categorical to numerical. With that, I will just use the simple replace method and give the column name to look at, the item to get within the column name, and what to replace it with. So we'll set male to 0, and then we'll set female to 1, and then we can look at it. There we go. So that updated our column to be numerical instead of categorical. And like we saw earlier, we had some missing values in the age column, and the Azure ML some APIs to deal with that. So I'm going to fill it up with the meaning of the age, and so I'm going to use the dprep package. I'm going to call it impute column arguments and tell it the column ID is going to be age, and the impute function is going to be dprep replace value function. I'm going to use the mean, but here there's quite a few that you can use. You can use the max, min, or a custom one that you fill in yourself. I'm going to use mean. And then from there, in our definition, we called builders, and then impute missing value, and then we do impute columns, and that's going to be the age mean column. Then after that, we just call .learn on the builder, and then we get a new definition from the builder by calling toDataFlow, and then on the new definition will be our new data set that we work with. So there we go. If we look up here, our fifth one was missing, but down here you can see it was got imputed with the mean value, and it also kind of updated the column type. So see if we got just one trailing 0. Now we got multiple ones. All right, so that's pretty much it that I wanted to show on kind of preparing and cleaning some data. This is mostly what you need to be doing. There are some other stuff that we can do, but I wanted to just show some of the basic things there. All right, so if you enjoyed this video, just hit the like button. If you want to see more, feel free to subscribe. And until